Hey, what's up? It's Bill of the Universe, and I'm going to do the birth chart of Chris Brown. Why Chris Brown? I don't know. Well, you know what? Actually, I do know. Because he's very interesting. He's very interesting because one, he's so handsome, and two, he's so talented, and three, he's so controversial. So that immediately makes you think of what is sex appeal? What is beauty? What is masculinity? What is abuse? What is addiction? What is mental illness? What is all this? You know what I mean? That's why I think we're all still kind of intrigued by Chris Brown. Because yes, we see someone who has a lot of issues, but we also see someone who's very, very good looking. And beauty, I don't beauty has a way of sneaking through the cracks. But also someone who's just genuinely talented, right? Because if you're old like me, you remember when Chris Brown first came out. Like he was like James Brown. Just someone who just had so much promise and just who was a star. I mean, he still is. He's still huge. He's still so successful. I see a lot of wealth in this chart. I see a lot of wealth, and I see a really good fighting spirit in this chart. This chart is interesting. Apparently, there's supposed to be, apparently, according to, I don't know, the news or whatever, he's supposed to have like mental illness. Um, I don't, there is one thing I can kind of see with that, but that's it. And for me, whenever I see mental illness, I see it like over and over, or I see it like just many different parts of the chart. But right now, I only see one part. Okay, let's just get started. Um, Sun and Moon in Buddhini. This is Vedic astrology. Buddhini is a star in Aries, so he's an Aries Sun. He's born May 5th. Sorry, he's not a Taurus. We're doing Jyotisha. We're doing actual ancient astrology. So when he was born, the sun was under the star of Buddhini, which is a star in the stomach of the ram, which is Aries. All right. This is a very beautiful star. It's a very powerful star. And this is a star that has been historically known for being abusive. They're also very handsome. This is also a very handsome star. Have you seen that movie 50 Shades of Grey about Dorian? Wait, Dorian Gray? Was that his name? Really? That can't be it. Anyway, point is, the dude who was the main guy, he was very beautiful. He was also very abusive. He was also very rich. You know what I mean? He also had a lot of issues. That is kind of can be an archetype for this Buddhini Nakshatra. There's a movie called, oh man, I wish I can remember. It's kind of a scary movie. And it's about this Indian family who, this young girl, she survived her abuser, and he died because she actually killed him, I think, because they were like in a fighting. He was trying to kill her, and she, in self-defense, killed him. And so the plot of the movie is that he reincarnated, because this is an Indian movie. This is that reincarnation is nothing new. It's nothing taboo. It's plausible, right? And so in the movie, she grows up. She has a daughter, and then the abuser is reincarnated, is dating the daughter now, and he remembers his past lives, and he wants to kill both of them now. It's insane. It's actually a pretty good movie. Anyway, in the movie, they did a birth chart analysis, because this is India. It's a great movie. You should see. I wish I could remember the name of the film. And the nakshatra that they looked at was Buddhini Nakshatra, and they were like, oh wow, the astrologer was like, oh, he's Buddhini Nakshatra. That means that he's going to be very handsome. He's going to be very powerful. But then they said, be careful, because he could be a very abusive person. And that's exactly, I'm not going to lie, that's exactly what we're seeing. Buddhini is also a Venus nakshatra. When Venus is very hedonistic, first of all, Venus can be the most hedonistic. They can be very beautiful. They can have good money. They can have very beautiful bodies. But this is hedonism. So on the crazy, in a way, all Venus natives have indulged in like sexual adventures, like really, really, like taking it to the far end. Really, in reality, most Venus natives have indulged in this type of lifestyle at one point or another in their lives. For the most part, it's in their youth, and it's in their college days, or it's in their single days before they found the love of their life, or, you know. But some Venus natives, it's actually, especially for people that like have a lot of childhood trauma, have a lot of unresolved trauma, have a lot of abandonment issues, you know, people like that, people who are hurt, people who are fractured emotionally, spiritually from childhood. Venus natives, when they're like this, they can be addicted to sexual adventures, you know. So what am I talking about? You already know what I'm talking about. Orgies and sex parties and bondage and just I don't know. You name it. When Venus people are pretty much traumatized from childhood, Venus, remember, they can be, this is sexual adventures in general, so they can really lean hard into that. Venus people can be very depressed. Venus people, and so they can actually use sex as one of their addictions. You know, they can use it's like an escapism. It's an escapism for that. Um, Very beautiful faces, very beautiful faces, and it's so funny because I was just thinking about like childhood trauma and stuff like that. You know, just saying that now, and I'm looking at the fact that he has Ketu in his second house, and a lot of people who have Ketu in their second house. First of all, it could on the good side, it could have been a very spiritual upbringing, and it's in Makha Nakshatra. Makha Nakshatra is very musical. They're very good at music. This could have mean that he comes from a musical. He's musical on his mother's side. He gets that from his mother, and he was raised with music in his life, especially from his mom's side. Even if he doesn't know his mom, because this chart isn't showing like the most motherly mom. um, but regardless, second house with Ketu there in Makah, it could also be just like you know, a lot of loss, you know, sometimes homelessness, sometimes, you know, just like crazy ups and downs with the home life. You know who also has this placement with Ketu in the second is the kid who has cerebral palsy from the show Breaking Bad. I can't remember his name right now. He's such a little cutie. I follow him on Instagram, and he has Ketu in the second house, and you should read about his childhood. It was crazy. It was very unhealthy. It was very up and down. There's a lot of loss in his childhood, so there could be that as well. But going back to the sun and moon and botany, it's just such. It can make you just so beautiful. Who else does he look like? Oh, uh, David Beckham, who was also a Buttonese son, actually. David Beckham's son, I think it's Cruz, Cruz. He is like such a handsome young man. And he looks, in my opinion, a lot like Chris Brown. Look him up. Google Cruz Beckham. And he's a Buttony ascendant, just like. He's a Buttony ascendant, and then Chris Brown is a Buttony sun and moon. Now, people with sun and moon, this is kind of not great because also, anyway, well, I'm like tripping over my words because I have so much to say. Sun and moon, it either means that you had a maternal father or you had a solar mother. And the fact that he's got Ketu in the second house, but see, that's the other thing. Ketu is in Leo here, and Leo is the father. And then the moon is mother, but he's got his moon conjunct his sun, which is the father. So this tells me that his mother was really his father. You know, that his mother was the one who was, his mother was like a real strong, dominant force in his life. And because it's Ketu there, it could also mean that it's like, even in a past life, they knew each other. Like, they're reincarnating, like, again. You know, Bharani Nakshatra actually has reincarnation symbols and aspects to it, to the mythology. That's fascinating. Now, getting back to the sun and moon, when you have that conjunct, you say whatever's on your mind. You have a problem with like not holding back, with holding back, actually. You have a problem with holding back. You can't hold back. These people say what's on their mind. They come across as rude. And a lot of times, if it's the moon that has the lower degrees, then yes, they can work on that, because you know who has sun and moon conjunct, but they're actually very calm, is why am I saying all these examples and I don't even know any of their fucking names? Adam Scott, thank you God. Shit. Adam Scott. Adam Scott is the actor from, he's Leslie Knope's husband on Parks and Rec. The thin dude, the thin white dude with the brown hair, that's Adam Scott. He has this conjunction as well, but he's really chill. That's because he has his moon in the lower degrees where his emotional side is actually taking over and not his sun. Because if your sun has the lower degrees, then it's going to be your egotistical side that's going to be taking over. Unfortunately for this young man, Chris Brown, he has his sun in the lower degrees. So not only has this like kind of like jerk asshole placement, which is sun and moon conjunct. I mean, I'm sorry, but it is. But he has his sun in the lower degrees, which kind of makes it really hard. That basically means that every time he has an emotion, he has to express it. You know, every time he has an emotion and it's a bad one, he had like his sun comes in. Whoever has, like I said, whoever has the lower degrees has more power. So his sun comes in, and sun is egotistical, and sun is like, you know, I'm above this. I'm above, you know, I don't even know what you're talking about. What? Like I'm too busy. I'm too, you know, the ego. The ego just steps in and covers up for the emotions. So I mean, I do see a lot of that. But I mean, on the goods, on the bright side, first of all, sun is exalted here. It's in Aries. He's got a good sun. That means he's got a good health. You know, he's got a good strong body. Not only that, but it's in the 10th house. 10th house of public display. Sun in the 10th house, that is so good. It just makes you, it makes you popular. It can make you famous. It makes you, it kind of makes you look like you could be a king, or it makes you look like you are a king, because first of all, sun and moon are both royal planets, and both of these planets are sitting in his 10th house. So they can make you come across as like royal, or wealthy, or some type of really high status. And it's true, because as soon as he came like onto the scene, if you're old like me and you remember, if you've been on the floor, every ain't, let me know. You can see. Stop singing, Andrew. Okay. Um, if you remember, like he immediately got famous. It wasn't like he kind of like had this slow arc or anything. Like no, he made a splash. So that's what happens when you have first of all a really good sun being in Aries, but then you have sun and moon being in your 10th house of public display. It just all of a sudden, and you know, it's so funny because the thing about the 10th house is actually like surprises. Like all of a sudden, boom, something happens, and that's kind of what happened with his career. Like all of a sudden, boom, like he just popped off. You know, and here's a really morbid example. I'm sorry to say this, but like on 9/11, I did the chart as well, and it was a heavy 10th house. So like again, boom, you know, something happened, right? So 10th house is famous for that. And what's also interesting is like boom, all of a sudden we find out that him and Rihanna got into that thing, right? Well, in a man's chart, Venus is your woman, and where is his Venus? It's in the 10th house. It's in the 10th house of public display, baby. Now I want to talk to you about oh, here's the other thing before I move on. Ladies, I think we already know he has a big penis. Like I think we already know he's hung. But moon in Buttony can definitely make you hung. For sure make you hung. Big dicks. I'm talking hung. Magnum. So, I mean, we kind of already knew that, but it's there in the chart. Just letting you know it's there in the chart. Now, I want to talk about this oh, let's move on to the next hot topic, I guess. Now, unfortunately, I'm gonna let you know right now. Y'all know me. I'm objective, but I do see abuser energy in his chart. I do see it. First of all, he's got his sun and moon in Buttony in the 10th house. Like that already right there is. I'm just like, whoa, you better be careful. But it doesn't mean that he's a wife beater. It could just means that he gets really aggressive. And 10th house is also business. So it could mean that someone who has their sun and moon in the 10th house in Buttony, that could just mean that they're a jackal or a wolf in the boardroom. You know what I mean? Or in the office. It doesn't have to be beating up your wife. But here's the thing, though. Okay, here's the thing. He's got his Mars in the 12th house. 12th house is a moksha house. 12th house is all about liberation. 12th house is about consequently, because 12th house is a moksha house, it's it's tribulation, because letting go of your material self is really tough. It's very turbulent. So he's got his Mars in his 12th house. That can make men abusers, and vice versa. When women have their Mars in the 12th house, they can be abused. You know where Rihanna has her Mars in the 12th house? Do you know where Selena Quintanilla, the Mexican singer who was killed like 30 years ago? Do you know where she has her Mars? In the 12th house. You know what I'm talking about? You know what I'm talking about? I'm just kidding. Mars in the 12th house just does that. I don't know why, but not just 12th house, any moksha house. It's so ironic because moksha is about finding the peace. But actually moksha, which is the 4th, 8th and 12th, those are very turbulent. Those can be full of diseases. Those can be full of like just all types of crazy shit. That's why a lot of people that have heavy moksha house, they can be very mentally unwell, or they'll get cancers or stuff like that, because they're energetically like separating from this earth. It's crazy. 12th house, I mean, moksha houses are crazy. Um yeah, he has his Mars in his 12th. I mean, damn. Not only that, but he has it aspecting his 7th house of relationships. Now, just because Mars is aspecting 7th house of relationship doesn't mean that doesn't mean that you're gonna beat your partner, but I mean, it could also mean that you'll fight for your partner. You know what I mean? It could also mean that maybe your partner's gonna be younger than you or something like that. But I don't know. I feel like in this case, because not only is his Mars in the 12th house, not only is it aspect in the 7th house of partners, but it's in Ardra Nakshatra. That's a star in Gemini. But this particular star is Tamasic. This particular star is like it's a predator. Like it is. I did a study on lion movies. I know that's real random, but I did. I did a study on lion movies, and I did like 12 lion movies, and all the ones that were like really scary, like Ghosts in the Darkness and Prey, and that one Idris Elba movie. I forget what that one was called. But anyway, all the scary lion movies, when that those movies premiered, the moon was in Ardra. And Ardra, I looked up Ardra even more. And Ardra, it's so funny that the scary lion movies were all in Ardra, because here's what's crazy. I researched that star even more, and in South African ancient mythology, they would associate this star of Ardra with the lion, with it's a glowing red star, so they would associate it with the predatory gaze of the lion. Isn't that motherfucking interesting? That's where he has his Mars, in the 12th house, aspecting his 7th house. That's kind of crazy. Not only that, but his sun and moon is in Buddhini. I already told you this, like it's a Venus star, but people forget how violent Venus can be. Venus, here's the thing, beauty is pain, right? You have to diet, you have to exercise, you have to fight, you have to meet resistance at the gym, and you have to push, and you have to push back. Venus has to be beautiful a lot of times. A lot of the healthy Venus people are, it's a different story. But for the most part, most Venus people, they have to be beautiful. They have to be fine. They have to be smoking. They have to be hot. That a lot of times will mean, this is why a lot of Venus people can be addicted to cocaine. Does he have cocaine issues? Just kidding. But the point I'm trying to make is that Venuses can be actually very like militant. You see so many Venus people in the military. So many Venus people, especially in this nakshatra Bharani. My grandfather was a Bharani native, and he was in the military. I knew this one guy. I used to teach his kids piano, and he was in the Air Force, and he was born May 3rd. And my other client that I had, she was born May 3rd, and she was in the military too. Just like Venus is in the military. George Washington was a triple Venus. Isn't that interesting? So, what was my point? I don't know. I think my point was that once they decide to fight something, This chart has like the grit and the honestly the anger and the animosity to really go through with it. You know, once they let loose, that's it. You know, you're gonna once they let loose, it's like they turn into a beast, and you're gonna have to do a lot to hold them back. You know, and especially that he's got Rohini. Rohini is a motherfucking bull in the china shop. Rohini is a motherfucking bull in a china shop. Rohini can be hellish. Rohini people can be hellish fucking people. Mm. And it's in the 11th house. But I mean, like, again, more beauty. Again, more beauty. It's like on one hand, he's so beautiful. And not just that, but very sensual, very sexually expressive, very sensually expressive. This could also mean he's very sexually, because Mars in the 12th house likes to fuck. They like to, and not nice having sex, making love. No, they fuck. They like to fuck pussy. That's why they're violent, because sex itself is a violent act, actually, because you're splitting in half. Anyway, that's a whole nother video. That's a whole nother video. Anyway, let me move on. I have so much to talk about. Shadabisha, okay, he's got his Rahu and Shadabisha in the 8th house. That's actually very fascinating to me. Do you know who's a Shadabisha sun? This is Aquarius, by the way. He has his Rahu is in Shadabisha. That means he has his North Node in Aquarius. Okay, it's in the 8th house. You know who is a Shadabisha sun? Rihanna. So her sun is conjunct his Rahu. When someone's sun is conjunct your Rahu, they represent everything you want to be in life. They represent everything that you've ever wanted to be. Their story is your story that you want for yourself. Like when somebody's sun, first of all, because sun is so expressive and sun is egotistical and it shines so much light, people see it so much, right? So his Rahu is his insatiable desires, his obsession in life. And it was sitting right next to Rihanna's sun. This means that, first of all, it could have meant that he was kind of obsessed with her. Because it's Rahu, this could mean that he's still obsessed with her. Just doesn't say it out loud or something like that. But anyway, Rahu is illusion. Rahu is the things that you're actually not ready for in life, that you kind of suck at, that you're not really actually ever going to get, unfortunately. The way to actually satiate your thirst for Rahu is to kind of focus on your Ketu. And to really not give it a lot of power, because Rahu actually mythologically is a demon. So the more you focus on Rahu, the more it expands, but it's a demonic energy. So that means that like when he was with her, or when he thinks about her, or when it comes to Rihanna in his eyes, he thinks he's saying truth. He thinks he's saying, like, this is what I want to be, this is who I want to be, or this is who I need to be with, this is the wife I should have had, yada, yada, yada. He might be, he might be symbolically tossing and turning at night, wondering about woulda, shoulda, coulda, woulda, right? Here's the thing. It's all an illusion. Hopefully he has gotten to the point in life where he understands that his obsession with Rihanna is an illusion, that, the things that she did in life to get to where she was is completely different from him. The person you have to be Rihanna is someone that he's not. He's just not. So that's why it's very, very hard for him. So I think that's very interesting. But it's kind of a good thing, because they were together when he was very young. When you follow your Rahu hard like that, usually you're young because you're stupid, you're naive, you're spiritually kind of poor. So it's a good thing that actually this whole thing happened. And it's funny because it's in the 8th house of violence and this is the other thing, it's the 8th house of other people's money. The 8th house rules, it's a financial powerhouse, yes, but it's also other people's resources. That's what it is. It's actually other people's resources. It doesn't have to be money. So when you lay him and Rihanna's chart over each other, her sun is hitting his 8th house and it's conjunct his Rahu. This is what I'm saying. Like, when he looks at her, he sees everything he's ever wanted to be. But what he might not see, or what he didn't see at that time, was that was an illusion and that he has his own path. And it's a good thing that they didn't get together because Rahu is right here, conjunct her sun. This means that if they had been married, then he would have really siphoned off her resources. He would have really siphoned her her money. He would have spent all her money. He would have put her in the poorhouse because his Rahu is there, and Rahu is insatiable. Rahu is the head. It's not the body. So they don't get full. Rahu doesn't get satiated. Rahu doesn't get satisfied. Rahu needs more and more and more. And no, Rihanna is one of the richest women in the world. So for him to have access to that, her resources, that would have been devastating for both of them because Rahu is insatiable. Rahu doesn't quit. So it's a good thing he learned early in his life that that wasn't the path to go down. So in a way, that's kind of like God intervening, you know? And I do kind of see spirituality in this chart. Not like religious, but kind of just like an inherent knowing, an inherent believing in God, an inherent, stuff like that. Sorry, it's kind of a long one, isn't it? Now here's the interesting thing. I do see a bit of feminine energy. And that makes sense because he's so pretty. Pretty boys. I'm sorry. Chris Brown, but you're a pretty boy. Is what you are. I mean, you're you're not Mel Gibson. You're not Idris Elba or whatever his name is. Like those are man faces. Chris Brown has a beautiful woman face. Chris Brown has a pretty face. Not only that, but this is actually this chart is giving me a lot of femme energy. Not gonna lie. Now, here's what's interesting. You know whose also chart gave me a lot of femme energy, but it was very healthy feminine energy? Michael B. Jordan. He had so much feminine energy but it was very healthy. For example, in Michael B. Jordan's chart, I saw positive femininity, which is being compassionate, being giving, being also like virginal. His chart was so positively feminine that I wouldn't be surprised if Michael B. Jordan was actually a virgin for a lot of his life and then like truly did wait until he found the right one. Like he's that kind of guy. This is kind of like negative femininity, which is like being over dependent on somebody, which is siphoning someone else's energy, which is kind of being like an energetic vampire. That's what negative feminine, just like there's toxic masculinity, there's toxic femininity. Just like there's positive masculinity, there's positive femininity. And it doesn't matter what gender you are. It doesn't matter if you have tits, ass. It doesn't matter if you have tits, balls. It doesn't matter. That doesn't matter. It's how you are energetically. So this kind of could give me kind of a toxic femininity thing. First of all, let me tell you why. He's an Aslesha ascendant. That's in Cancer. He's a Cancer ascendant, okay? Cancer is the sign of the mother. So already there's feminine energy right there. Now the good side is it can give guys big dicks because Moon is very giving. Moon likes to bless with fertility, right? And so once it decides to give, it'll just give and give and give and give. So that's a big dick placement actually, is being a Cancer ascendant. And because it's femininity, it gives him a pretty face. So that also is why he's just such a pretty guy. The other thing is he has his actual Venus in Kritika. Venus in a man's chart is his woman, right? So Kritika is a nakshatra in Taurus. So he has his Venus in Taurus. First of all, that means just again with the sensuality, again with him being so beautiful, magnetic, again with being very artistic. He has a Taurus Venus in his 10th house conjunct his sun. This is a beautiful man with a beautiful talent. Like, I'm sorry. It just is. No wonder people loved him, It's just, people just, everyone can feel the Venus in him. Everybody can. Just pure beauty, arts, love, But it's in Taurus, but it's in the very masculine. This is the bull part of Taurus, right? You have the Venus part of Taurus, and then you have the bull part of Taurus. This is in the very masculine star of Kritika. Kritika is ruled by the sun, which is the most masculine planet. This is where his Venus is. Venus is the woman. But he's the man. That's what I'm saying. You, just because you have a dick, just because you have tits, doesn't mean that you're masculine or feminine. You could be a masculine woman and still be get your nails done and be and dainty and stuff like that. It just means that you're fucking bossy. You know what I mean? And you could be a feminine man. It just means that you're very pretty in the face, and your woman probably makes more money than you, and that she probably wears the pants, and you provide the penis. That's the upside of being a feminine man, and that's what Chris Brown is. He's a feminine man, and so he energetically he's feminine, and so like I said, with Venus being in such a masculine placement right here, this means that his woman will be the more masculine one. She'll still be very beautiful and very sensual because this is Taurus here. I mean, come on, but it's gonna be also very brutish. He's gonna force her to be, and he might not like it. He might be like, "Well, I'm the man." Well, it's like, well, be the man then. Be the man. Don't force her to be. So that's the thing. We'll see about the plus. His Venus is combust. I mean, what can I say? It's combust in the 10th house. Venus likes to be chill. Venus likes to be in a nice, cool environment, a nice, kind of tucked away and hidden, so they can be naked and enjoy sex. But it's not. It's in the 10th house. It's in the 10th house of being right under the sun, and everyone can see you, and you have no privacy, which is interesting because this is also kind of like leaning towards like group sex or orgies or public sex, stuff like that, where Venus is in your 10th house, where you just don't mind being looked at, where all your sensual desires are just being watched. Another reason why he's got feminine energy is because, like I said, he's a Cancer ascendant, but then the opposite of his 7th house is in Capricorn. Capricorn, in every relationship, you have a Cancer and you have a Capricorn. I'm sorry, you just do. Cancer is the moon, Capricorn is Saturn. Okay, so in every romantic relationship, you have someone who's the beautiful one, who's giving, who's nurturing, who's being very motherly, who's cooking, who's being very warmth, who's providing the gentleness, who's making things fertile, who's making your home beautiful. And then you have the one who's providing structure. That's the Saturn. You have the one who's being methodical, who's being very logical, someone who's providing, so him being a Cancer ascendant, that's actually him providing with like the sensuality and the sexuality, and making it really fun to be, and making a really beautiful home. And then his 7th house being in Capricorn, that's the Saturn. So then his woman would be the more logical person. Saturn is all about structure and discipline. Not to say he doesn't have discipline, but he does kind of have a weak Venus, and his sun and moon are ruled in Venus. Venus likes to lounge. Venus likes to do their thing. So yeah, this would kind of suggest that his woman is going to be more masculine, more structured, more responsible. Saturn is very responsible. Saturn and Kritika Nakshatra. Some astrologer was talking about Kritika not knowing their dads. I thought that was very interesting because I know a lot of Kritika people who don't know their dads. Again, Kritika is in Taurus, so it's interesting because his Venus is in Kritika, and his 7th house is in Capricorn. That tells me you can already tell. That's like a lot of masculinity in the partner. And it's not gay or anything. It's just energetically someone who's very who very much stands on their own 2 feet. Someone who doesn't need him. That's what he likes. That's what he likes, is someone who doesn't need him. So we can think of Rihanna when we think of these things. Rihanna does not need him. Saturn is poverty. Rihanna was born in a poor country. Remember what I said? Venus is very beautiful, but very, very tough. Rihanna's very beautiful and she's very tough. You know what I mean? So all those things I was just describing for his partner, that can totally apply to Rihanna, And he's got his Venus in the 10th house. That means his woman could also be in the arts, and she is in the arts. Don't you just love Vedic astrology? It's amazing. You know what? I'm going to stop here. I have a lot more to say, but I think that's enough. Yeah, I think I'm done. If you really want me to go on, you're going to have to put in the comments and really, really push for it. But I think this is enough. And I love you guys. All right, guy.